Well, something we are going to see in 2023 came in supposedly is
Supposed.
Spider-Man 2. I'm pulling directly from the PlayStation blog. The year's end is over the horizon, which means 2023 is about to begin. While 2022 has gone out with a god-sized bang, thanks to God of War Ragnarok, that doesn't mean 2023 has nothing in store. The coming year is huge for PlayStation, they write, stacked with a lineup of exciting releases. Whether you've been looking forward to the release of the ultra-customizable DualSense Edge controller, which I completely forgot was a thing, with like their like pro controller, virtual reality adventures with PlayStation VR 2, count me out. Fantastical new IPs like Forspoken, count me out. Or sequels to iconic titles like Marvel Spider-Man 2, count me in.
There
This
you
year,
go.
this year has something for you. While there's a ton coming to PlayStation 2023, this article aims to highlight a handful of the biggest things announced for 2023. So I only pulled the Marvel Spider-Man 2 part from this. So if you're interested in the other things that I just mentioned, go to the PlayStation blog and read it. But what they write about Marvel Spider-Man 2. Speaking of Marvel Spider-Man 2, let's kick things off with some exciting news from developer Insomniac Games confirming the release window for the web-slinging sequel, Marvel Spider-Man 2, launching on PS5 in fall of 2023. Following the events of Marvel Spider-Man and Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, the Spider duo of Peter Parker and Miles Morales are back in the next blockbuster action chapter of the Marvel Spider-Man series. Much is still to be revealed about the game, and going off the quality of the past two titles, we're bound to be in for a fantastic new original Spider-Man adventure. Cayman.
Mm.
The wording of this interests me.
Mm.
The Spider duo of Peter Parker and Miles Morales are back in the next blockbuster action chapter of Marvel Spider-Man series. Do you think we're going to play as both of them? Do you think it's going to be like a flip-flop situation
Yes,
in this game?
100%.
Do you think it's going to be where you get to choose who you play as, or it's going to be scripted like it was in the first game, where like there's like one chapter or a couple chapters as Miles, a couple chapters as MJ, but just like more evened out? We're like, what do you think that's going to look like?
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, so you can pick who are at any point in the game.
You're going to have missions for both that are going to be scripted story moments, and they're going to coincide. You're going to have moments, I have a feeling, where you'll be playing as one of the Spider-Men and
Spider Boys.
the Spider Boys. And you'll probably be able to have moments where both are on screen at the same time. Like you could be like basically having like an AI companion.
Sure.
But I definitely think that it's going to be a drop in, drop out. Like in my head, the way that I picture this is like Grand Theft Auto 5, where it's like, oh, I'm playing as Peter. They're like, hey, you know, it'd be fun right now. Like, let me switch over to Miles, see what he's up to, and then maybe go do one of his missions. So you drop in and then you pop up, and you're now Miles, and you're hanging out in, you're hanging out with. He's from the Bronx, right?
Bronx,
Peter's in Queens.
Queens.
I know Peter's from the Queens.
Peter's from Queens. The Queens. Yep, Peter's from the Queens.
The Queens. I'm just Sydney's watching The Crown right now. I'm just thinking all about the Queen.
The Queen, yeah.
That fucking bitch.
I think I wanted to say Harlem. Let me look. Miles Morales.
Oh, might be Harlem.
Character. Where he from?
since
I'm writing in broken English, apparently.
Let's
Brooklyn. Okay, he's in Brooklyn. You're
Brooklyn. Okay.
Actually, no, I don't think he's in Brooklyn, but.
So either way, so I think you'll be able to like drop in, and it'll be like one of those where like, boom, you drop in your Miles, and you're like, oh shit, I'm in the middle of a crime in progress, and then you just pick up and go. Like that makes sense, and then each one of them will have their own story missions, and then you'll probably have missions where you can choose one or the other, and you guys are playing side by side. Now the question is, it's like, how do you roll into, or like I think that you're about to say, what if it's co-op?
Do we think there's a chance that
absolutely
you and I can
not
play together?
I don't think
that's too big.
That's way too big.
If you can play as both characters, that would be a tall order to be able to play as them both with a friend.
Dude, that'd be so fucking cool though.
But that would be so cool. Dude. Like I've said it if I've said it once, I've said it a million times, Cayman. I don't love a multiplayer game. I'm not opposed to them. I just don't often choose multiplayer. If I could play Spider-Man with a buddy like you, Cayman.
Like you, Patrick.
Oh my goodness. You might be a vet of the War on Christmas, but at least you'd be my Spider Boy with me.
Yeah. No, I like that's kind of what I expect. But I think and to your point, the fall 2023, obviously any single date, I'm always to give that shit 50-50 chance for it to actually happen. But I don't know. It's interesting. I guess have they announced if Spider-Man 2 will be also coming out to PS4, or is it specifically just PS5? Do we
I
know this?
believe they have said this is PS5 only.
Okay.
Yeah, so Marvel Spider-Man 2 launches on PS5 in fall 2023 is all they say in the blog. Now,
Mm.
maybe there's a little asterisk somewhere and they say PS4 too, but I think they've said that this is a next gen only
So the question
title.
is, I guess for me, is did they rebuild New York from scratch? Which why would you? Like, why would you rebuild New York from scratch? Like,
What makes you think they would rebuild New York from scratch?
well, I mean,
I'm
like
not following your thought
if you're
process.
building this specifically for the PlayStation 5 and you want to be bigger, you want to be better, do you rebuild the entire
Mm,
thing in a brand new engine? Do
no,
you
I don't.
do like
I don't know enough about game development to be certain of this, but I don't think that they would have to rebuild it for it to only be on PS5. I think
mhm.
it, copy paste save as PS5 it is fine. No, just kidding. No, I think the way it works, from what I understand of game development, which isn't a lot, they would just build it like powerful enough and strong enough to where this thing's not going to run on PS4, so we don't need to like release it on PS4. But I could
Mhm.
be so far wrong on this. But I don't know. I
But
don't know.
like if you still have the bones there, right? If you still have the bones of the city, presumably that's going to be the hardest thing to do is build New York from scratch. So like
Sure.
if you can avoid that, and a lot of this is like we're building interiors now and like level designs in the interiors, and we're just sprucing up at the outdoors. Yeah, I think fall 2023 is actually pretty realistic. Like I
Yeah,
definitely think
yeah.
that gives you about 3 years between because what Miles Morales came out in no, like it came out in 2021. So you got 2 years from it, but you got 4 years or 5 years actually off of Spider-Man because that was 2018. Came out in March of 2018, I think.
Miles
So,
Morales was 2020, November 2020.
oh no shit. Okay, so you have
Mhm.
3 years. So yeah, you've got. So yeah, no, I think you like that gives them way more than enough time to be able to really nail down. And sure, the pandemic did not help anything, but I definitely think that gives them enough time to be able to like get this up and running. And I think coming off the heels of like all of these weird delays and pushbacks and all this stuff happening in the industry, I don't think Sony would come out and give a definitive window unless
Sure.
they were absolutely sure. Like
Sure.
we feel very confident this is coming now because I mean, how many months did we get before they announced that the actual release date of God of War? Like 3 or 4 months, 4 months maybe.
Yeah, I
They
don't
gave us a
remember
window. They just said they kept saying fall. It's gonna be fall, and then like 4 months before they were like, "This is the date. This is locked in. This
Yeah.
is not changing."
Yeah, because
And
there
that
was
game came
they
out
delayed it
perfect.
a few times. Like they did some delays, but they never gave us a. I don't think they gave us a date and then delayed it. I think they just delayed it before we ever got a date.
Yeah. So
Um,
I think in this particular situation, like Sony feels confident enough because that's been one of the biggest gripes the last few years. It's just people complaining about the fact that like don't fucking give us even a window anymore.
yeah,
You get our hopes up and then it's like, oh fuck, I guess I'm waiting for next year. Huh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Because I mean, looking at next year, like there's next year's a packed year for video games,
Yeah.
like across the industry, not just for PlayStation. Like there's a bunch of shit coming out next year, and by shit I mean gold. Like there's a lot of like new Zelda, like this Starfield for Xbox. Like there's a
Diablo
bunch of
4,
Diablo 4. Like
Final
the
Fantasy
list,
16.
it's
Like,
massive.
yeah.
And so part of me is like this could be the like cherry on top for a huge year for PlayStation. But also, it is such a big year that like they might be able to get away with pushing it to 2024. In fact, I think they probably could get away with pushing it to
Yeah.
2024 and it not look like Microsoft's year this year, which was nothing. Like, so I don't know. We'll see. But I am confident. I'm I'm leaning toward I expect this to come in 2023 versus I expect this to be delayed. But we'll see.
See, I have a feeling something else is going to be pushed to 2024. Segue.